Hey, what's up, Abyss? This is Pacific Dune here, and I wanted to take some time today and go over how we in Abyss use this app that we have called Band. But before I start with that, I wanted to introduce myself and I wanted to tell you just a little bit about our clan. Abyss is actually an alliance of clans. We have right now between 10 and 12 different groups inside Abyss, and it can get pretty complicated. So if you're just looking at Bungie.net or your in-clan roster, you're not going to see everyone, and we're going to seem pretty quiet to you, and you're probably not going to have a very good experience. So that's why to really be a member of Abyss, we require that you use an app called Band. That's how we hold our large community together. So as you can see here, I have an iPhone here, but it's similar on Android or Band also can be downloaded and looked at on your PC. But I'm not going to get into that here. Anyway, so Band, if you've just installed it, sends a lot of notifications because we're pretty active on Band. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and turn those notifications off. So I go into settings on my iPhone, and I'm going to scroll around here. Let's see, I'm down in the apps section, and here I see Band. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go down to notifications, and you can see I have it turned off. This lets you toggle it on and off. So what we do is we like to keep notifications off. I know that some people have gone through and configured it by individual chat room, what will notify them, what won't. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to come back and look at this app anyways. So I just leave it off for myself. And for most beginners, I also recommend that you just allow notifications off. And that will keep the sanity of you and your significant other and your family, because you're not going to be continuously getting notifications from Band saying, who the hell are these people? All right, so I'm going to go back out of settings here, and I'm going to go into the Band app. Okay, so if I go into the Band app, the first thing that I see here is you can see I have notifications are turned off, and it gives me an option to turn them on up here at the top. I'm going to leave notifications off. Now I'm going to direct your attention to the bottom of the screen where I see home, then I see feed, then I see notifications, then I see chat, and then I see more. So home basically lets me go and look at, these are all the different bands that I'm a part of. So if you're just starting up, you're probably just going to see Abyss Asylum up here, the one with the green check mark, and then you could have some other bands depending on what your interests are. In the clan, we kind of use different bands. They're sort of equivalent to different general headers that you would find in an internet forum. You know, for example, we just have a main band, and then we have a band for PvP, and then we have a band for PvE. That's kind of how we decided to use this app. So if we look at feed, this is where I see what are all the new posts on all my different bands that I'm a part of. So I have an ominous post up there, which is our raid clan. I have a post down there from Abyss Asylum. I have an advertisement. Then I have another post from Abyss Asylum, someone looking for a Nightfall, and so on and so forth. You can see I'm a member of all these different bands. Notifications is similar, but then the different thing about here is that if I've commented on a post, and in this case here, I have a buddy of mine, we're talking about Discord, but he's basically called me out directly in this post. So you can see that in this message at the top of it, he's put Pacific Dune. So if he does that, then it's going to go and it's going to go in my notifications. Now, I'd probably get a notification on my phone if it was turned on, but I haven't turned off, so I just get them down here. Then the next button here is chat. So what this does is it gives me, shows me where all the chat rooms are in all of my bands. right? So also, another neat thing about here while I'm in here, let's say I wanted to, you can see some of these chat rooms here have little green pins next to them. Some of them don't. The pins will always be at the top regardless if there's a new message there. So if I want to pin one, I just swipe it to the right and pin it. So now I've pinned PvP LFG. And if I want to go back and undo that, I find PvP LFG again, and that way I can just unpin it. This sort of lets you keep, the ones that you're most interested in up near the top, and we find that to be pretty helpful. So anyway, so that's how we use chat. Now I noticed when I was looking here at my feed, here was a message from someone looking for a nightfall, right? So this is pretty cool. You can go and use, this is what we call a post in band. You can use a post to look for a nightfall, but you probably would get a little bit more luck if you go in here into chat, and then we can go into PvE LFG. And this is kind of where we look for like a smaller fire team activity, like if someone wanted to do heroic adventure, if someone would want to run Nightfall, if someone would want to just do like a pickup Iron Banner or something like that. We'd probably just put a message here in one of our LFG chat rooms instead of putting a post by it. Okay, so then the other thing that, see, if you look at more, this just gives you some other band stuff. You can buy stickers and stuff like that. Not really too interested in that. So now we're going to just go back home, and we're going to go into the Abyss Asylum band. And here, the first thing I want to point out is looking here, we have our underneath where it describes what our clan is, we have some notices here. So if I click on the top notice, here's a post that I created welcoming new members to the clan. And also it describes a bit about all of the subclans that we have that you might be interested in. So this is where a new member would go to basically say, all right, I've joined this group. What clan should I actually go look for on BNet and apply to join? And we can have up to 2 important notices. And then if you look next to the notices on the right, you see this little 10 plus and then an arrow. If I click there, then I see all the different notices that have ever been up that we've left up as part of the Abyss band. There's lots of good information here. So if you kind of want to know what our history is and go back and do some research about our clan, you can see that there's literally pages of information available here about the history of our clan. Okay, so then another thing I want to go over that we find very useful and is let's say I want to create a raid, and a raid is a kind of a large activity that requires an hour or 2 time commitment by 6 people. I can go and look for that raid in our I can go and look for that raid in our PvE LFG chat room, which would be right here. But I probably just say, all right, anybody want a raid? Maybe I'll get a couple responses, but I'm probably not going to get very far. I've found that the best way to schedule something that large that requires 6 people to spend 2 hours of time is by using band's calendar function. So what I'm going to do here is down at the bottom middle of my screen, I'm going to click on the calendar icon. And now you can see that our clan has a whole bunch of different events here that are that I can join. So the first option is I can go and look through and say, okay, here's an event for tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. and it's a normal Leviathan run. And I can even go over and see which people are in this run. And if that sounds something that's interesting to me, then I can just go ahead and join this run. Oops, low on battery. That should be no problem. And then what we ask is if you join a run like this, or if you schedule something, please show up. And because if you don't show up, then people are going to be waiting for you, and it's just not very it's not very, I don't know, considerate to other people that are waiting for you, and other people that might join and say, oh, this one's already full. But we understand that life can happen, and things can come up. So if you decide that you're no longer able to attend this event, then just check this button again, and now you're not in the event anymore. So, if you join it, great. If you can't make it, the least you can do is take yourself off the list, so we're not waiting for you. All right. So now let's say I want to create my own event. So I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to go and add, right? Now I'm going to go and give myself a title. So we're going to call this test event. And then the description is also going to be a test event. Okay. And we have multiple different calendars that we can use. Right now I've configured a default and a raid school calendar. We're just going to leave this one in default calendar. I'm going to give it a start time. So let's say we'll give this a start time of 7 p.m. tonight. Now, what does 7 p.m. tonight mean to everyone in the world? Well, we have members all over the world, and the good news is that Band automatically translates time zones for you. It's one of the great things about using this app. So 7 p.m. here is 9 p.m. in Detroit, and is Lord knows when in other different places around the world. But you know what? We don't have to worry ourselves about that, because the app will take care of it. So no worries there, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at making sure that RSVP is checked. So if you remember in that previous post that I was looking at, I could go in and say that, yeah, I'm going to join this, and then I might join it, and then no, I'm not going to join it. So that's all controlled by this RSVP option. Right? So I can turn it on and off. This time I'm going to leave it on, and then I'm going to set my participants to 6, because there's 6 people in a raid. And then the other thing I'm going to do is share this as a post, and then I'm going to give people a 30-minute reminder. Okay, so now I have my event all set, and I'm just going to click done. Okay, now I can get out of these events, and I can see that up at the top of all the posts in our main band, you can see that my test event has been created. And I can go in here, and I can join my own event. And we ask that if you do schedule your own event, please join it, because if you don't, then you might end up in a sticky situation where 6 other people have joined the event that you scheduled, and there's no longer space left for you, which is kind of sucks. So then you can go over here and see who's joined. Right now it's just me. And the other thing this tells you right here is the time at which you joined. So if you get more than the required number of people, you can always say, well, sorry, but I joined before you did, or this person joined before this other person, and that way we don't have hard feelings. It's a good way to determine who should get into the event and who shouldn't. That way we don't have any favoritism going on. All right, so that's how you schedule an event. And right here, see, you can see that there's a lot of people. We're pretty active. So even Steven has already interested in my event here and wondering what we're doing. And I'm just going to respond to him and say, well, I'm doing a video. How to use Band. Right? So now my response has gone in, and I could even call him out. That's another function we talked about. So now it'll show up in his notifications. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about posting, right? And setting up calendar events. Really great function, really important if you want to use this app to set up raids. And to talk about, in your comments on this thing, what I can do is I can go into my event and I can edit this event. And things that we can say in the comments are, for example, if it's your first raid or something like that, please mention that and say, if you're looking for a Sherpa or two Sherpas or three people that know what they're doing, kind of try to set the expectation for the event before, already in the event itself. And that'll avoid just misunderstandings when it comes to event time. And we don't have enough people ready to go that know what they're doing in Leviathan, for example. Okay, so I'm going to close this event, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go over another function here. First, I'm going to get out of here, go to the main band. Now, I'm going to look at, if I want to start a chat with anyone, I go and look at the people here. And let's say maybe I want to send AK Madden a message. So I'm going to go and I'm going to tap on AK Madden here. And you can see here there's a chat icon, and then I can also view his posts. So I can chat. And now it's pulled up a chat room where I can talk directly to AK Madden. And this is a private chat room, so whatever I say here is just between the two of us. Okay. The other thing I want to point out here is in Abyss, if you notice, all these are PSN names. So when you first join band, you might have typed in a different name. So the way you fix that is you go in and you pull up on yourself, right? And now instead of a chat option, it gives me an option to set profile. Right, so I'm going to go in and set profile. And then this is where I can now change my screen name on this band. And if you're in multiple bands, for example, if you wanted to use band to create something for your family or something like that, you can go in and change your name for every different band that you're interested in. And then you can also, this is where you would go and set your picture for that specific band. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to get out of this. And I think that's about all I want to talk about today in band. It definitely gets you started. So welcome to Abyss. If you have any questions, make sure to send me a message, and I will see you out there in the Abyss.